And welcome to the final edition of our previews for this big Saturday worth of games. We move to prime time and to one of our marquee matchups. That is Penn State going to Tuscaloosa to take on Alabama. That's a 7 p.m. start on ESPN. Great games between these two storied programs back in the 70s and 80s. Some in the regular season, some in the Sugar Bowl. Bear Bryant is long gone as the head coach at Alabama, but amazingly enough, Joe Pa is still patrolling the sidelines for Penn State. Joe Pa brings a true freshman quarterback into Tuscaloosa. The first time in Joe Pa's 100 years as a head coach at Penn State that he has started a true freshman to begin the season. Rob Bolden had a good game last week and seems to be more mature for a typical true freshman. I think he'll do a little better than most would, but starting out your career with your first road game at Tuscaloosa against the defending national champions, that is a difficult task. Alabama, on the other hand, number one in the country last year, number one in the country at the moment, returns a lot of their stars off offense. Mark Ingram is not one of them, but Trent Richardson has already stepped right in. That won't be much of a loss for Alabama. The challenges are on the defensive side of the ball. A great defense, but loses a huge number of starters from last year. They had their easy win to open the season over a cupcake, so it's kind of hard to say how the defense is going to go. I do think Penn State's actually going to play pretty well, but a true freshman in Tuscaloosa, that's too much to overcome. So I say Alabama wins 28-17 over Penn State. We have another primetime game, not quite at the marquee level of Alabama-Penn State, and that is Tennessee hosting Oregon. That's over on the Deuce, also with a kickoff at 7 o'clock. And Oregon had an amazing offensive performance to open the season, 72 points, over 700 yards of total offense. But with Mazzoli out, they bring a quarterback that is making his first road start of his career at Neyland Stadium. Tennessee's had their struggles the last couple years, but they will have a loud, fired-up crowd in Knoxville on Saturday night. Tennessee definitely in rebuilding mode. Derek Dooley taking over after the one-and-done year by Lane Kiffin, who's off to his, quote, dream job. So a lot of chaos left behind for poor Derek Dooley to kind of pick up the pieces. Seems to be a solid coach. Probably will get Tennessee back on track, but that I think is going to take some time. The good news is I think the emotion, I think teams struggle with these long cross-country trips are always difficult. The East Coast, West Coast games are always a challenge. I think Tennessee's going to play well. Oregon is not going to play that well, but it'll still be enough for, I think, for Oregon to win. So I'm going to say a 30-17 win for Oregon, where they pull away late in the game. We do have a nightcap on if you want to start your day at noon and end your day around 2 a.m. On ESPN at 10:30 Eastern. Stanford and UCLA kickoff, a key game in the Pac-10. Stanford had their kind of breakthrough season last year behind Toby Gerhart. He's gone, but they do have their quarterback Andrew Luck back. Had a good game in their opener against the Cupcake. UCLA, not such a good game in their opener, giving up tons of yards rushing in their loss to Kansas State last week. I do like Stanford in this game. UCLA, I think, has a chance to really build up their program here over the next few years with Southern Cal facing so many sanctions, and in particular the scholarship reductions. But that's not going to help Neuheisel in this game. I think Stanford is a better team. Look for a high-scoring, close offensive game, as typical of the Pac-10. So I look for a 35-30 Stanford win over UCLA. And that's it. That's our preview for all the big games of this coming Saturday. Get your chores done early. Go to the gym in the morning. Send your wife and the kids to the mother-in-law's or to the mall for the day. It'll be worth it. Hope your team does well. And we'll look for a bunch of great games and some exciting finishes.